Hello, welcome to Papa Nick's Music. I am, as always, your host, Papa Nick Lewis, and today we're talking about Queen. Sorry for flashing my gut there, but had to show you the shirt. Today we're talking about Queen. When I was in high school, Queen they were like, the official language. They were like the official currency, right? My friends and I were all individual nation states, but when we interacted with one another, we needed a common courtesy. We needed a common currency. Queen was that currency when it came to music. There were things that I liked that many of my friends didn't like. I was always a big fan of Kiss, for example, and most of my friends weren't big Kiss fans. They liked bands like Styx and Journey, and I was never a big fan of either Styx or Journey. But Queen was coin of the realm. We all liked Queen. We all liked ELO. Those were the two common denominators. And so I liked Queen back then. This is the 70s we're talking about. There are several of the albums that they recorded. Several, okay, so there's like 3 or 4 of the albums that they recorded in the 70s that are among my favorite albums of all time. If I'm making my list of my top 100 albums that I love above all other albums, there's a good chance there's going to be at minimum 2 Queen albums on there. There may be as many as 4. But as much as I liked Queen in the 70s, in the 80s, they kind of dropped off my radar. We lost touch with one another. The albums that they did in the 70s still lived in my heart, but Radio Gaga I had no patience for. And so I largely ignored Queen from the Game on. I liked The Game. The Game was the last album that I plunked down and bought on vinyl when it was originally released, and the rest of them just I didn't pay much attention to. Here a few years ago, I took advantage of a momentary sale, a price discount of significance, and bought the entire discography. So I've got all of these Queen albums. I'm gonna set that down before I drop it and make a fool of myself. So I've got all these albums, and a couple of weeks ago I thought, I had so much fun doing the Summer of the Bee Gees. Let's go ahead and do some Queen here. Let me dive into the waters that I have not previously tested. Let's listen to The Miracle, A Kind of Magic, The Works, Hot Space, Innuendo, Made in Heaven. Just reading off the spines. I've got these albums, but I've never listened to them. So I'm going to listen to them. And my original thought was that I would go ahead and just do this all in one video. I'd listen to all the albums, and then I would do an album ranking. But I want to take a little bit of time to go over the albums. And so, much like I did with the Bee Gees, our regular viewers, all 5 of you, will know that I recently did the Summer of the Bee Gees, and I started off with a video in which I gave you my top 10 of the Bee Gees' top 40 singles, and then a couple of updates, and then I finally ended with a couple of videos about the Bee Gees' entire catalog. I'm going to do the same thing here. It's just I'm not starting from a position of largely complete ignorance the way I was with the Bee Gees. All I knew about the Bee Gees was the charting singles, and I actually know the 70s output of Queen fairly well. It's the 80s output that I need to catch up on. So this isn't the late summer, the after summer of Queen. This is just, I'm going to talk a little bit about Queen today. I'm going to give you a top 10, and then here in probably 3 weeks, I'm going to come back with a full album ranking. Before I get into any of this, though, got to do the subjectivity notice. All artistic appreciation is inherently subjective. There is no such thing as objectively good or objectively bad art. There is only art that I like and art that I do not like. And as long as we keep that in mind, this is a wonderful conversation. It's entertaining, it's fun, it is one of the best ways to build a sense of empathy for people who have perspectives that differ from your own. Talking about art is just, it's a win-win-win just across the board, as long as none of us are going into it thinking that there is such a thing as objectively right and objectively wrong. There is no such thing. Don't bring it up here. When I first started doing these music discussion videos, my first one was last June, and I talked about the Beach Boys albums. And when I got to the subjectivity notice there, it was long and scripted out. I mean, it was 2 paragraphs long, and I read it off a card. And that original version of the subjectivity notice had a little codicil attached to it that I've just glossed over. I don't even talk about anymore. But that is the idea that one of the reasons why I find the people who think that there is such a thing as objectively good or objectively bad art to be particularly objectionable is that I think that is a form of intellectual bullying. I think if somebody tells you, you admit that you like something and they give you that, oh, seriously, you like that? Oh, yeah. Your parents must be so proud of you, right? If you get that kind of denigration because of your artistic tastes, that is a form of bullying. It's intellectual bullying, and I have fuck all patience for that kind of nonsense. One of the reasons why I had that in there is that one of the reasons why I do these videos in the first place is to point out that there are alternative viewpoints. I have said in a couple of different videos that if all I'm doing is talking about the same thing that everybody else is talking about, and I'm making the same points that everybody else is making, then why the hell am I doing this? I have to have something different. I have to be adding to the conversation. If I'm not adding to the conversation, then the fact that I'm watching the video is enough. You know, that's enough involvement for me in that conversation. If I'm going to do an album ranking video for an artist, one of the first things I'm going to do is see how many people have already done that, and I'm going to check out their ranking systems. And if nobody has done it, huzzah, I will do it, because, you know, I obviously have my finger on the pulse of what the viewing public wants to see. But if there are videos ranking the albums, and if my rankings would be substantially different, then yeah, that I need to do that, because I need to make an alternative viewpoint known, right? Okay. Bringing all this up because we're talking Queen here, and I want to talk about why I like Queen, and I want to talk about the reason why, even though I like Queen, I've never really loved Queen. Queen is not in danger of cracking my top 10 of all-time favorite musical artists. I don't think. If I actually make that list, they might sneak on it. But as it stands right now, no. I would say they're probably a low teen. They're not going to be up in the top 10. And there are reasons for this that I need to be upfront with, because y'all need to know, particularly if you're tuning in to this video because you are a dyed-in-the-wool, dipped-in-the-river Styx by your ankles fan of Queen. You need to know that we're going to have an issue here. Why do I like Queen? I like Queen, first off, because these guys are just amazing musicians. They are excellent. Each of the 4 is an excellent musician. And when we're talking, yeah, Freddie Mercury is a very good pianist. John Deacon is a very good bassist. Brian May is one of my favorite guitarists, and Roger Taylor is a very good drummer. But they're also very good across the board, multi-instrumentalists. The things that they could do just with them and with a tape deck, right? They didn't need to bring in people to help them do things, because they could do it all, and I love that. I love a group of musicians that is that versatile and that proficient in their work. So I love the fact that they're all excellent musicians. I love the fact that they all write songs, and they all write good songs. Some of their biggest hits, yeah, Freddie Mercury wrote a lot of those. John Deacon wrote a lot of those. Brian May wrote a lot of those. Roger Taylor didn't write many of the like super big hits, but every album's got at least one song on it that he wrote, and he was a very good songwriter. So they are good songwriters. They are all four individually good songwriters, and they don't write the same kinds of songs. So you get a nice variety there. So I like that about them. But mostly I like Queen just because I like Brian May. I like everything about Brian May. I like the way he plays his guitar. I like the way he talks. I like the fact that he's an astronomer. I like his hair. I like Brian May. One of the true joys of my life was a few years ago when I went to go, drove over to Houston to see Queen with Adam Lambert. And I was by myself, had a single ticket. I was at the back of the floor, and shortly before the concert started, representatives of the venue or the promoter or somebody came to those of us who were sitting at the back of the floor and asked us if we wanted to move up because there were a few seats that hadn't sold. And so I ended up getting moved up, and because I was a single, I got moved up into a pretty nice spot. I was about 5 rows maybe away from the proscenium that came out, where anytime somebody would do a solo, they'd come out onto that. And so Brian May came out onto that. Adam Lambert spent a lot of time out there, but Brian May came out onto that a couple of times, and he was like, I mean, just like right there. I mean, if I'd strained myself and hurt a couple of people, I could have gotten close enough to almost touch him, you know. It's like, and this is Brian May there. It's like, wow, is it one of the happier memories I've got up here. So I love Queen because I love Brian May. Queen is never going to be. I say that I'm slightly overstating, I think, for rhetorical effect. The reason why I don't automatically think of Queen as being one of my top 10 favorite of all-time musical artists is I had a friend in high school who literally would end a friendship if that person that he was talking to would not agree that Freddie Mercury was the best vocalist of all time. Now, I never got into that conversation with this particular friend, so I never risked losing that friendship. Because I would have. Because I don't think Freddie Mercury is that great of a vocalist. Now, I think he is technically stunningly proficient. I mean, he is a good singer from a technical perspective. His range is phenomenal. The dynamic presence of his vocals is phenomenal. He can hit a super high note, he can hit a super low note, and he hits them with the same verve. And I'm impressed by that. I am impressed by his achievement, but I don't find his voice to be particularly engaging, primarily because I really don't care much for his vibrato. I'm a stickler for vibrato. A lot of the discussion from my Summer of the Bee Gees, where I heaped shit on Robin, I can do it here. It's not as I'm not heaping shit on Freddie, because I actually like listening to Freddie sing. I just don't love listening to Freddie sing. And there are times when his vibrato becomes slightly irritating. It's got an almost spastic quality to it that does not. When I'm listening to Freddie Mercury sing, I'm often reminded of Catherine O'Hara. On SCTV, Catherine O'Hara had a recurring character named Lola Heatherton. And Lola Heatherton would get vibrato in her voice by trembling her lip and her jaw. She would be singing, and that's how she got her vibrato. And that's what Freddie Mercury's vibrato sounds like to me. It sounds like he's just up there going, and he's not. It's just it sounds spastic, and it's not an aesthetically appealing sound for me personally. So I tend to listen to Queen because I like Brian May. I like them as musicians. I like Brian May, which is why when I went to see Queen with Adam Lambert, I was fine. It was great. I loved it. Adam Lambert is not as technically proficient as Freddie Mercury and probably will never be, but I was okay with it. So today I'm giving you my top 10 Brian May songs from Queen. These are all songs that Brian May wrote. He didn't sing all of them, although 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 or 6 of them he sings. I did that count too quickly. But he wrote all of these songs, right? Cool. Okay. Because this is a top 10 list, the unofficial sponsor for Papa Nick's Music's Top 10 series is Schöfferhofer Beer. If you like grapefruit beer, you'll love Schöfferhofer. That's good beer. Okay. Have I talked enough? Yeah. Let's get into this top 10. Number 10. By the way, all of these albums all of these songs are going to come from everything from Queen up through the game, because I stopped listening after the game. I already said okay. My first top 10 entry is from the game, and it is "Sail Away, Sweet Sister." And my note here is I've always liked this song, but I have no idea why. I don't know what it is about this song that appeals to me, but I like it. So, number 10, "Sail Away, Sweet Sister." Coming in at number 9, from 1975's Night at the Opera, stone cold classic album. If you are a fan of 70s music, you really ought to have a copy of Night at the Opera in your collection. We have Good Company. I like Good Company. I like a good, fun music hall pastiche is my note here. I'm particularly fond of his ukulele playing on this. There's not too many pop records in the 70s where you could hear really good ukulele work going on. I like Good Company. It's a happy song. It makes me happy to listen to it. Coming in at number 8, we have, off of their first album, Queen, from 1973, "Keep Yourself Alive." I can't even say that without using the "keep yourself alive." It's not "keep yourself alive." No, it's "keep yourself alive, keep yourself alive." It's one of those. I like this song. I've always liked this song. My note here, excellent guitar work, straight up balls out rocker. I love it. It's just, it's amazing guitarist. Brian May is an amazing guitarist. "Keep Yourself Alive," number 8. Okay, number 7, off of 1978's Jazz, we have "Dead on Time." Same note as "Keep Yourself Alive," right? Excellent guitar work, straight ahead rocker. It's just cranked up to 12. "Dead on Time" is a wonderful song. I would love to hear somebody try to play that live. That just, it seems to me, if you're going to do that, you're going to have actually like multiple people doing it. You're going to have multiple singers, because there's no way you can get all of those words out without overlaying vocal tracks. If you were going to have alternating guitarists, because there's no way to get all of that in without, I love "Dead on Time." Great song. Okay, number 6, from 1974's Sheer Heart Attack, we have "Now I'm Here." Now, let's talk a little bit about Freddie, right? I was just heaping shit all over Freddie here a little while ago, and I don't mean to do that, because I do like Freddie Mercury. I think he's fantastic. I don't think he's like top 10 vocalist, but very good vocalist. And one of the reasons why I will say yes, he is a very good vocalist, is I love the way that Queen used delay effects on his vocals, where he would sing something and then he goes up and then he comes back down, and as he's going up he's got that echo that is following him, and you can't do that unless you are pitch frickin' perfect, tempo perfect. It has got to be perfect when you're doing that, particularly if you do it live. And Freddie used to do it live. So, yeah, great respect for Freddie. So, and, you know, Now I'm Here is a fantastic example of that. Did the same thing on the Prophet song on Night at the Opera, but I'm pretty sure Prophet song was written by Freddie Mercury, so not on my list here. Number 6, Now I'm Here from Sheer Heart Attack. Okay, number 5. We're back to jazz. 1978's jazz. I love jazz. I think it's a great album. And we have here Leaving Home Ain't Easy, which I think is a wonderful song. It's a very nice ballad. Queen didn't do a whole lot in the way of just nice ballads, but when they did, like Leaving Home Ain't Easy, they knocked it out of the park. It's a great song. Love Leaving Home Ain't Easy. For number 4, we're still on jazz. I got to get a hit in here somehow, and here we go. Number 4 is Fat Bottom Girls, You Make the Rockin' World Go Round. Love that song. It's just a nice toe-tappy, fun rocker. Fat Bottom Girls. Number 3 is from 1976's Day at the Races, which I think is a wonderful album. You definitely need to have a copy of Night at the Opera if you are a fan of 70s music, and I think you probably ought to have a copy of Day at the Races as well. But when it comes to fun rockers, hey, Tie Your Mother Down is right up there at the top of the list. It is my number 3. It is a fantastic song. It's fun to play. It's fun to listen to. I love Tie Your Mother Down. But number 2 on my list is also from A Day at the Races. It is, as far as I'm concerned, the best song on the album, Sorry, Somebody to Love. And that is Long Away. I adore this song. It's a nice, upbeat song. It's a song that, there are very few songs that if you're feeling particularly overwhelmed, you can listen to the song and it makes you feel better. There are very few songs that I can listen to. I didn't mean to put this on the greater world in general. Very few songs that I can listen to if I'm feeling overwhelmed that will make me feel like I can put it into perspective lyrically, right? There are a lot of songs that will lift my spirits musically, but there aren't very many that will lift me lyrically. Long Away is one of them. One of the things I like about George Harrison is George Harrison has a few of those as well. There are very few people who write positive songs on a consistent basis. George Harrison is one of them. But I like Long Away. It's a nice, like I said, nice upbeat song, and my favorite song on Day at the Races. But my number 1 song, my favorite Queen song, just regardless of who wrote it or who's singing it or whatever. I mean, there are a lot of Freddie songs that I like. There are a lot of John Deacon songs that I like. There are a lot of Roger Taylor songs that I like. But my favorite Queen song is also my favorite Brian May written Queen song. That is from A Night at the Opera, 39. I love 39. Turns out I never thought that I liked folk music, but if you write a folk song with a science fiction twist to it, then hey, I'm on board. I love 39. In fact, it pissed me off when their live album came out, and that's when I learned that when they performed 39 live, Freddie would sing it. It's like, no, no, this is a Brian May song. Let Brian sing it. Not going to win that argument. But favorite, hands down, my favorite Queen song, my favorite Brian May written Queen song, 39 from Night at the Opera. So, there's my top 10. Ooh, before I do this. That's good beer. That's my top 10 Queen songs written by Brian May. And like I said, when I started this here in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna be doing a really cheesy Mario Brothers accent. I'm gonna be ranking all of these things, at least giving you my top 10. But it may be a full album ranking. That's a doable number. So stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider clicking the like button. I'd appreciate that. If you would enjoy watching similar videos, go ahead and click the subscribe button. And while you're clicking that button, go ahead and click the little bell for notifications. I would appreciate that. for whatever reason that stuff makes a difference to YouTube. Hey, as for me, I'm just glad you came along and visited with me today. That's payment enough for me. Thanks again for watching the video, and I hope that the rest of your day is entertaining. See you soon.